are Blake and Stephanie Alexander, dairy farmers from Northern California, extreme Northern California. We started our own dairy brand about 8 years ago, Alexander Family Farm. And we've also been selling eggs off our farm for about 20 years, and those are under the label Alexander Kids.
We are both fourth generation with our fifth generation kids involved in our farm, and we're just blessed to live this lifestyle. We were drawn to the Nutrient Dense Alliance group because when we became organic farmers and you're at a conference, we were at this conference, and the doctors were the keynote speakers speaking to farmers, teaching that they're teaching people to go to the farm instead of the pharmacy. We as a family farm found a purpose in what we were doing. It wasn't just a business decision to go organic or follow these paths. It was a purpose to grow nutrient-dense food and provide it to the masses, to provide it to our country. And so when Nutrient Dense Alliance came about, we were paying attention. And that drew us to want to participate, to learn more about what we are doing at the soil level, what we are doing at the food level, and how we can market that, what we're doing in the bottled milk we produce or kefir or yogurt, to learn more.
Yeah, we are here really because of nutritional integrity in our food system across the aisles, across all the entire grocery store is extremely important, and we want to do our part and our share to help in that endeavor to literally make food healthy again and make Americans healthy again.
The connection to the Soil Climate Alliance allows us to find friends, peers that believe in the same thing we do about nutrient-dense foods, about healing the earth and the soil, and getting it out to the consumers out there, changing our food system, and the research that we aren't a part of mentally knowing things, but we are learning, and we are just a sponge to learn more.
Yeah, I would add that this conference brings us into a room literally with a lot of like-minded people from different aspects of our industry, and it's humbling and it's rewarding. You know, there's farmers and scientists and marketers and promoters, and so we also learn a lot from each other, and it's fun to be able to contribute.
A2 organic dairy is what we produce. A2. What's A2? A2 is the digestible protein in dairy. And historically, all milk was A2. It's the way God made milk, naturally. But then there was a mutation, and we don't know when it was. Was it 1,000 years ago? Was it 600 years ago? We don't know. But what we do know is on this protein amino acid chain, there's a histidine where there should be a proline. And people drink dairy, they get phlegm in their mouth, they get a lactose intolerance symptom, they get autoimmune disease. Now we're talking about the protein. Gluten is a protein, and a lot of people are discovering they're sensitive to gluten. And so A2 solves that problem where A2 is the correct protein. When we learned about this and in 2008, we started breeding our cows to A2 genetics. So we're getting a DNA from the dam or the mother and a DNA for the dad, the sire. And so breeding that way, we eventually had a herd of all A2 cattle. And then going to the marketplace, we already knew that there was a company that had regular A2 milk, and we knew we wanted to be different. And we came out with A2 organic milk. And really, A2 organic milk is a reason for people to come back to dairy. So we like to think of A2 organic milk as the dairy alternative to alternative dairy. So we did everything different in the sense that digestible protein, come back to dairy the way it's intended. Mammal milk is A2, so breast milk is A2, water buffalo, goat milk. And when we learned that there's people that can drink goat milk that cannot drink cow's milk, we realized, wow, this is real, this is true. And that's what sent us down this path.
Yeah, as we launched our brand and started, it was extremely rare to even have a conversation about A2 milk with a consumer. They didn't know anything about it. It was brand new to the industry. We were literally the very first organic option for folks here in the United States. And so there was a lot of education. And once people understood that they probably weren't having trouble with the lactose, in milk. It was the protein. People were willing to try it. 90-some% of the folks that believe they were lactose intolerant are okay with A2 dairy. So regenerative agriculture is really just a new word for an extremely old, ancient system. We're going to say, from our point of view, it's really farming in harmony with nature the way God intended. And the systems have been present in our environment for a long, long while. Here in the United States, for the last 7 or 8 decades, we've been kind of pounding our chest, very arrogantly saying we can feed the world. And that's true. We can grow a lot of food, but we did it at an extreme sacrifice of our soils and a kind of an ignorance of being unaware of what's going on beneath the ground and within the soil microbiome. And so regenerative is this awakening, and we're really pleased to be part of the process to understand the relationship between the biology in the soil and the plants and the plant root system and the energy from the sun coming down through the roots and feeding the biology and the symbiotic relationship with the biology feeding the plants and ultimately feeding our animals or feeding our crops and feeding our people. And so it's simply farming in harmony with nature, with this total awareness and understanding of how it was meant to be. My father raised me to really hate berry briars and thistles. And so we would always go out and ho, ho, ho. That's the Santa Claus method of weed control, by the way. So we were hoeing thistles all the time and the weeds in our fields. There's people that understand that the weeds have a purpose and they're there for a greater cause. I'm going to say it like this. God gave us dominion over the animals, the critters, the birds, the fish, and the earth. And Mother Earth is here to serve us. Mother Earth is kind of the womb of the world, and we put our seeds in her, and she grows stuff. And the thistles and the thorns weren't really meant to be here originally. So they came in as a little bit of punishment for what went wrong in the Garden of Eden, supposedly. So that made a lot of sense to me, and it really resonated with my heart. And so I'm all in on this regenerative movement in terms of doing my part to help nature express itself. And when we talk about regenerative systems, it's not just one thing, it's all of the systems. It's the energy cycle from the sun to the roots and back to the people. It's the water cycle, it's the air cycle. And so when we farm in harmony on our ranch, it improves the water and the air, literally for the rest of the country. All of our neighbors benefit. So we are all in this together, whether we're willing participants or knowing participants or not. It's the entire community and culture that benefits. And so we were just at White Oak Pastures in southern Georgia, and I would say that the single biggest regenerative move that they're doing down there is the regeneration of their community and then the local economy. And that's a direct result that's immediate because they're doing regenerative farming practices, and the cash flow of the community has improved because of what they're doing.
When Blake talks about the weeds in the field, after the cows graze, he's talking about the thistles and the berry briars. That's what we're doing with the hoeing. We have learned to understand that there are weeds in the fields that are indicator species. There are new plants that we might have called a weed that is being gifted to us, and they actually are more nutritious because of all the varieties of things we're doing with the composting and regenerative practicing of rotating our cattle and new seed varieties. All of a sudden these surprise weeds come up and they're actually very nutritious. So we're learning more about the weeds, but it is interesting that the Bible actually talks about thorns and thistles, and those are the ones the cows don't want to eat. And we have learned it's all an education process. So that is one of the reasons why we pay attention to what Nutrient Dense Alliance does, what John Kemp at Advancing Eco Agriculture is teaching us, what Eric at Audacious is teaching us. All this stuff comes together for a better food system, and we're really just blessed, so blessed to be a part of it.
Yeah, so as we've grown and gotten educated in this system, yeah, we've narrowed weeds down to a couple things. The rest are all welcome in our pastures, and our cattle love them.
And we know that the variety of plants that grow, it just wakes up. They don't compete with each other, they actually collaborate now. And it's really exciting to see that and learn that regenerative education.